bloodclot. Unlike the previous, here the baby is from a clot of buffalo blood and derives power from the mighty buffalo. A very old man and hunted for game. But it was scarce and they were hungry. One day the man discovered some buffalo tracks and followed them to the place where the animal had stopped. There he found a big clot of blood, which he wrapped in his shirt and carried home. The old man told his wife to boil the blood, and she put it into the kettle with water from the creek. But before it came to a boil over the fire, they heard cries inside the kettle. The man ran up to it and pulled out a baby, a little baby boy, who had somehow formed out of the blood clot. The old couple washed the baby and wrapped him up. By the next morning he had grown much larger, and that day he continued to grow until he could crawl about by himself. The second day he was able to walk a little. By the third day he was walking with ease. The couple called him Bloodclot. They came to treat him. The old man made little arrows so that the child could learn to shoot. Soon Bloodclot needed larger arrows. With them he began to hunt birds and other small game. He never brought the game home himself, but sent the old man for it. One day Bloodclot returned from hunting and said, "I have killed something with a striped back." The man went out and fetched an animal a little bigger than a moose, which he cooked for the three of them. The next the boy announced, "I have killed a white short-tailed animal." It was a cottontail, which the man also cooked. The day after that, Bloodclot went farther and killed a badger. "I have killed an animal in a hole in the ground," he said, and the man brought the creature home and cooked it. The following day, when the boy returned, he said, "I have killed an animal with black ears and a black tail." The old man's joy, it was a female deer. The three of them ate and were happy. Next, Bloodclot said, "I have killed a big fellow with big antlers." It was an elk, so again the family feasted on meat. The old man gave the boy a full-sized bow and arrow, and Bloodclot went into the mountains and shot a goat. "I have killed an animal with big horns in the mountains," he said when he came down. Every day the old man said proudly, "He kills a different kind of animal." Now their troubles were over and they had an easy time. Bloodclot killed a mountain lion, and he tracked and shot an otter. "I have killed an animal with nice fur living in the water." The old man tanned the skin to make strings for tying the boy's braids. The following day, "I have killed an animal with a tail of this size." At last, there came a day that the village where many people go on the last hunt for you all day. My want to put rocks on the edges and fasten the door, lest the night wind carry it away. Though the wind will be strong, don't go outdoors, and don't be afraid. I will call when you can come out. The old couple obeyed, and they hunted all night. No, he hunted all night, while they were asleep. About daybreak, they heard a big noise, forerunner of a wind that threatened to tip over their tent. About daybreak, they heard a big noise, forerunner of a wind that threatened to tip over their tent. The man was frightened and wanted to go out, but the wife held him back, reminded him that their son. When daylight came, they heard their son's voice. "Come on out. I'll show you something." They unfastened the door and saw dead buffalo lying all around. "I have done this for you," Bloodclot said. "Dry the meat and hides, save the meat, and it will last you for a long time." The young man asked his mother to fix him a lunch, and she gave him pemmican. "Now my parents have plenty of food," he said. As he left, they cried and asked him to return. Wearing buckskin leggings, carrying a quiver of mountain lion skin, Bloodclot began to travel. After a few days he reached the village. At the outskirts he asked for the chief's house, and a man told him it is in the center. There he found the chief with his wife and daughter. They invited him to sit down, and the chief asked him where he came from and what his tribe was. I don't know what tribe I belong to. I've come to you, Bloodclot replied. The chief stepped outdoors and shouted to the people to come and meet their visitor. The villagers were starving for lack of game, but all gathered at the chief's house and sat down. The chief said, "Do any of you know the tribe of this man named the tribe deer, elk, otters, beaver?" They asked him whether he belonged to any of these, but he thought not and said, "I think I know or I may be mistaken. I think he is one of the buffalo." Bloodclot thought about it and finally agreed. People of the village asked Bloodclot to stay and marry as well, and the wedding was held. That evening, he asked his father-in-law to bring one arrow from the teepee. When the chief returned, Bloodclot told him to have all the teepees fastened and to warn the people that they should stay indoors, for there would be a great storm. He told the villagers, and at daybreak, when they heard a big noise, they cried out in fear, but did not leave their teepees. Then Bloodclot called to the chief, who came out to the dead lodge. At son-in-law's bidding, some forced and all happy. Bloodclot stayed there. Just about to hunt buffalo. He told the wife, "You know the buffalo calf. It is part of it. You must never say the calf." When the party and were butchering, another herd came. Pointed and called, "Kill that calf." Immediately Bloodclot jumped on his horse and galloped away, changing as he did into a buffalo. His wife cried and attempted to catch him, but in vain. From that time on, Bloodclot with the buffalo. Based on a story reported by Robert Lowy in the 1920s.